Brad Pitt went and did something I didn't expect. He seduced me. Me, a grizzled former cop and a husk containing only cynicism. He made me actually give a damn. Right then, you popcorn munching idiots. Welcome back to another episode of me tearing apart Hollywood's latest attempt at making us care about things we probably shouldn't. I'm the Grumpy Scot, and today we're diving into F1 the movie, or as we could also call it, Top Gun, but without the trauma of a dead goose. Now, before we get started, let me establish my credentials here. I've been watching Formula 1 since before most of you were even a disappointing glint in your father's eye. I cried when Ronnie Peterson met his maker in Italy. I saw Lauda's horrific crash at the old Nürburgring. I saw Hunt win the championship in a rain-soaked Japan. I've witnessed the glory days of Senna and Prost trying to murder each other at 200 mile an hour. And I've endured the Ferrari years where they couldn't strategise their way out of a wet paper bag. That might actually still be happening. And anyway, I've watched Lewis Hamilton transform from a promising young lad into whatever the hell he is now. Half racing driver, half fashion disaster. So when I heard Jerry Bruckheimer was getting his grubby mitts on my beloved sport, I approached this film with the same level of enthusiasm I'd reserve for a root canal performed by a blind badger. You know what though? That sly old bastard Brad Pitt went and did something I didn't expect. He seduced me. Me, a grizzled former cop and a husk containing only cynicism. He made me actually give a damn. And before any of you start getting ideas, when I say he seduced me, I mean in a purely cinematic, completely heterosexual, I'm impressed despite myself kind of way.
Dylan! You son of a bitch.
The man's got more charm than a snake oil salesman at a Gullible convention. The story here is about as original as a tribute band set list. We've got Sonny Hayes, played by Pitt, who's essentially Maverick, if Maverick drove cars instead of jets, and had even more daddy issues. He's a washed-up former F1 driver who crashed spectacularly years ago, and I mean that literally, not metaphorically, although knowing Hollywood it's probably both. He gets recruited to come back and mentor Joshua Pierce, played by Damson Idris. What kind of name is Damson? Who's your typical arrogant young talent with more attitude than sense. It's the classic grizzled veteran teaches cocky youngster formula that's been done more times than a McDonald's hamburger. Rocky, The Karate Kid, Top Gun, hell, even Shrek follows this bloody template if you squint hard enough. But here's the thing. Sometimes a formula works because it works, and F1 manages to hit most of the right notes without completely insulting your intelligence. The fictional APXGP team gets inserted into real Formula 1 seasons, specifically the 2023 season. Though they've taken some creative liberties that would make a historian weep. They're supposedly the underdogs, which in Formula 1 terms means they're not McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari or Mercedes. So basically they're fighting for the right to be disappointingly mediocre, which is about as realistic as F1 gets for most teams. Let's talk about the elephant in the room though, the F1 accuracy or the complete lack of it. Director Joseph Kosinski and producer Jerry Bruckheimer have played faster and looser with F1 regulations than the FIA plays with penalty consistency. And that's saying something, because the FIA's penalty decisions make about as much sense as a chocolate teapot. For the uninitiated, this movie bears about as much realism to Formula 1 as a moonwalking former astronaut in a bouncy castle. But leave your belief at the door, and don't pick up on the very obvious gaffe. The film takes liberties with team procedures, race formats and general F1 operations that would make any long-time fan twitch like they've been tasered. But here's where I surprised myself. I found I could largely overlook these issues because the film commits to its own version of F1 reality. It's like accepting that in the Marvel universe, a billionaire can make a metal suit out of tin cans and fly around without immediately becoming a very expensive crater. You either buy into the premise or you don't. What did baffle me though was the commentary choice. They've got David Croft and Martin Brundle doing their usual shtick, instead of bringing in someone like Jakes or Coulthard. Now, Croft and Brundle are fine, but they're very annoying voices of F1 for many fans. But for a movie that's supposedly trying something different, it feels like playing it very safe. It's like making a film about punk rock and getting Coldplay to do the soundtrack. Now, the cars, this is where things get interesting from a technical standpoint, because Pitt and Idris aren't Formula 1 drivers and weren't actually driving real Formula 1 cars at 200 mile an hour. And because, let's be honest, the insurance alone would bankrupt a small country. Instead, they used F2 cars and digitally enhanced them to look like F1 machinery. And you know what? Sometimes it works brilliantly, and sometimes it looks about as convincing as a background in an old Doctor Who set. The CGI work is generally solid, but there are moments when you can tell something's not quite right. It's like when you see a celebrity who's just had too much plastic surgery. Most of the time they look fine, but occasionally the light hits them wrong and you think, it's not entirely natural, is it? But for the most part, the racing sequences deliver the spectacle you'd expect from a Jerry Bruckheimer production. Let's be honest though, Brad Pitt could just sit there with that half smile and somehow make it compelling. The man's got screen presence that could power a small village. As Sonny Hayes, he brings exactly what you'd expect. Effortless cool. Just enough vulnerability to make you care. And the kind of stubble that probably requires its own makeup artist. Pitt manages to sell the idea that he's both a washed-up has-been haunted by his past and a driver skilled enough to compete at the highest level. Remember, suspend your belief. It's a delicate balance, and he pulls it off without making it seem like he's trying too hard. There's a scene where he's explaining racing lines to his teammate that could have been painfully exposition heavy, but Pitt delivers it with such natural authority that you'd buy it completely. Damson Idris holds his own as a young hotshot Joshua Pierce. He's got the arrogance down pat, but more importantly, he does show the growth throughout the film without making it feel like a complete personality transplant. The chemistry between Pitt and Idris feels genuine, like watching an actual mentor-student relationship develop. And then the Joe in the crown, there's Gunter Steiner. Sweet, merciful Jesus. This man is a treasure. For those who don't know, Steiner was a former team principal of Haas F1, and he's got a mouth that could make a sailor blush and a presence that could command a room full of caffeinated toddlers. Every scene he's in, and there are too few of them, he absolutely owns. He brings an authenticity to the movie that grounds all the Hollywood nonsense in something resembling reality. The rest of the supporting cast does their job competently. Kerry Condon plays the team technical director with appropriate determination and grit, while Javier Bardem shows up as a team owner who's exactly what you expect from a Javier Bardem team owner. Intense, slightly intimidating, and probably plotting something. And in an obvious nod to Briatore, the team principal is played by lookalike Kim Bodnia. And nearly 2.5 hours long, F1 is longer than most marriages these days, but here's the shocking bit. It mostly manages to keep your attention. There are moments when you feel the length. Particularly during some of the more predictable character development beats, but the racing sequences and the general momentum of the story carry you through. The film does that thing that good popcorn entertainment does. It makes you invested in characters and situations that on paper you shouldn't really care about. You find yourself rooting for this completely fictional team, getting caught up in race outcomes that never actually happened, and caring about whether these people succeed or fail. There's a touch of social commentary, but unlike some sports films that beat you over the head with their deeper meanings, F1 keeps its social commentary relatively light. It touches on age discrimination, second chances, and the nature of mentorship, but it doesn't feel like it's trying to solve world hunger through motorsport metaphors. The film does also touch on the international nature of F1, the politics within teams, and the pressure that comes with competing at the highest level. But it's all woven into the story naturally rather than feeling like mandatory diversity checkboxes or ham-fisted life lessons. The only jarring moment for me was the whole overprotective black mama scene, running her mouth off and making accusations without all the information. Oh wait, that's pretty accurate to true life. Look, F1 isn't going to win any awards for originality. It's not going to revolutionise cinema or make you question your place in the universe. What it does take a familiar formula, execute it competently, and deliver exactly the kind of escapist entertainment that sometimes you bloody well need. It's a family-friendly film. Well, family-friendly if your family includes teenagers and up, because there's enough intensity and mild language to keep the wee ones out. But for everyone else, it's the kind of movie you can watch with your dad, your partner, or that friend who insists on explaining every technical detail during movies. The F1 inaccuracies will annoy purists, but if you can accept that this is Hollywood's version of Formula 1 rather than a documentary, you'll probably have a good time. It's got spectacle, heart, decent performances, and enough genuine racing excitement to justify the price of admission. I'm giving F1 an 8 out of 10. It's not perfect, it's not groundbreaking, but it's thoroughly entertaining and surprisingly engaging. In a world full of cynical cash grabs and soulless franchise extensions, sometimes a well-made old-fashioned crowd pleaser is exactly what we need. And there you have it, you scum-sucking jakies. F1, it's Top Gun with cars, and sometimes that's perfectly fine. Brad Pitt continues to be unreasonably charming, Gunter Steiner continues to be a legend, and Jerry Bruckheimer continues to know exactly how to push your entertainment buttons. Sometimes the best films are the ones that don't try to be the best films. Now, go watch something preferably while eating something unhealthy and questioning your life choices. I'm great.
A Grumpy Scot with a pint in hand, ripping through films like a one-man band. Snarky cinema where the burns are hot, honest reviews you'll never forgot. Oh hey oh, aye, let the truth be told. No sugar here, it's biting and bold. With smirk and a scowl and a hearty laugh, the Grumpy Scot is here to riff your craft. Sequels gone wrong, he'll tear them apart all video long. But if it's a gem, he'll tip his hat. Rare moments when praise comes from this cat. From cringe remakes to sequels gone wrong, he'll tear them apart all video long. But if it's a gem, he'll tip his hat. Rare moments when praise comes from this cat. Snark so sharp, it'll cut through steel. Honesty that you can taste and feel. No fluff, no fuss, it's the Scottish creed. For brutal truth, the world does plead. Oh hey oh, aye, let the truth be told. No sugar here, it's biting and bold. With a smirk and a scowl and a hearty laugh, the Grumpy Scot is here to riff your craft. So grab your popcorn and duck for cover. It's cinema chats with a twist to discover. Snarky Scot with reviews that sting, a brutally honest movie rating king.